It always sort of surprises me when I'm receiving people for the first time at the seminary, and I always expect them to be sort of blown away by the architecture and the beauty of the scenery, and they are. Unfortunately, in some ways, it's the dogs that always seem to steal the show. People come up and they're sort of fascinated by the building, but then they got these two rather large puppies, usually waiting for them at the sally port. The boys had asked me when we first started the seminary if they could have a dog. And they'd asked several years in a row. And I finally said, if we ever get the building and we have some land for dogs to be able to stretch their legs, as it were, and stay outside more than inside, then yeah, we'll get some dogs. And so when we knew that we were finishing up the project and we were getting close, I began to think about fulfilling that promise, even though the class to whom I made the promise was graduating. And I got interested too, because I always grew up with dogs, and I love dogs. I met this Great Dane at a friend's house, and it was a Blue Dane, and I thought, now that's the kind of stately dog one should have at a stately place. It seems to fit the architecture. And so I got looking for some Great Danes, and a Great Dane, and then I found that there were two Great Dane, Blue Dane puppies, and I thought that's even better idea, to have two, because then they can keep each other busy. But their names are Boca and Lupo. And the reason was because in Italian, the phrase for good luck is in bocca lupo. And I have a fascination with the Wolf of Gubbio, which is the story of St. Francis. And so I thought, okay, we've got some connection here to the Wolf of Gubbio, we've got the Roman connection, and I just thought of Lupo. And then I thought in bocca lupo, and so that's what they're named, which sounds a little strange in English to call one of the dogs mouth, but if you get around them, it's actually pretty accurate because they're always mouthing you. So they've been a lot of fun for the seminary. We're standing at the main doors of the seminary, and these doors were fashioned by some local artisans. Jacob Wolf, who did the furniture in our chapel, also made these doors, but the metalwork was done by Mark Reed, and they're all solid bronze. And the idea behind the doors is very specific because Gothic architecture, of course, has that element of the portal. And since Joseph, of course, St. Joseph is from the line of the tribe of Judah, that we incorporated the lion that's in our shield into the doorwork. So you have, of course, the actual lion knocker here, and he hits on a dogwood flower. The dogwood was significant because it is the sort of the wood of the crucifixion, traditionally spoken of, because it has those little white flowers with those little red points, like for the Passion. And so when you hear it knock, it does sound almost a bit like a hammer hitting a nail, which of course reminds us too of the Passion of our Blessed Lord. And what happens, when someone comes to your door, you tend to respond. The strap hinges are real, they're all bronze. There's a hint of Our Lady here, the spouse of St. Joseph, in the fleur-de-lis. Can't quite see it, but it's actually written here, Noli timere, which is our motto for the seminary, do not be afraid, the words that the angel spoke to St. Joseph, and just something sort of whimsical with the lion's tail act as the poles for the door. On the inside, have all these other dogwood flowers that hold the strap hinges together, but also something rather whimsical. You have this handle of the lion's tail, and when you put the lion's tail back into the lion's paw, it closes and locks the door. One of the aspects of Gothic architecture that was adopted by Abbot Suger at Saint Denis was verticality. The desire for the buildings of churches that worship God to be vertical. And the purpose, of course, is not because we think he dwells in the sky, but because it has this sense of ignobling one, to look up, to raise your head, to want to be elevated, as it were, by the supernatural. The other feature is the tower that we have. And the tower is significant because Ezekiel speaks about prophets, priests, right? They're supposed to be the watchtower. And so the tower that we have here, it's even lit up a little bit at night with sort of diffused light. It looks kind of like a lantern. And that's the idea, that we're sort of keeping vigil, waiting for the master to return. So all of the men engage in various forms of manual labor here on campus too. We do all of our own cleaning, and we do the lawn cutting and things of that nature, and all the landscaping. And one of those great things is, of course, chopping wood. We have lots of trees here, so we built some wood sheds for ourselves, and so our wood chopping is going on back there, and a number of our different elements for landscaping and keeping up with the campus here. In monasteries, convents, seminaries in the old world, we always built cloister walks, which is an interior space, kind of kept from the noise of the exterior world, but also covered in such a way that a man can come out and pray, meditate, say his rosary, etc., without being exposed to the elements. And so we wanted to replicate that here as a way of creating that atmosphere of contemplation.